It does also freshly called with big red letters, and that's my fault.
I missed it.
Underneath this screen, there is another sign here above. See point poking out here. There's a sign here. So this is town. So Councillor Scott.
Right. Looking at both the signages, the one on the left, is there such a necessity for that as they've got the one on the right? I know it's non-illuminated, so it's not too, so it shouldn't stand out too much, but I think the sign on the left coming down the building is ugly, it stands out badly, and I just think it's not something that I'd like to see on a building in our town. The one on the right, I would pass out without a worry. So really, I mean, the application is for both signs, and I would propose that the one on the left, the large one coming down the building, they shouldn't have, personally.
I agree with
And I
that.
couldn't, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
And I couldn't support the one on the left, the large one, but I would support the one on the right. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Makes it-
So you
makes
want to
it-
recommend refusal?
Makes it look like a factory sign.
You want
I'd
to-
recommend, yeah, I would go for the refusal.
Can I have a second on that before we go to further discussion? Any other comments on this at all? Councillor Rosie.
I would say that there's no other precedent set that larger in any of the other buildings. They're all the horizontal signage that you've got in the lower image, and I wholeheartedly agree with Councillor Scott. I think, EG3, DP26.
Could we support 50% of this application?
We refuse that whole application.
Yeah, you give a reason.
Yeah.
Such as you've outlined.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree that where that's positioned in town as well, and on the scale of that building, that is a big sign. That is a very big sign. That's bigger than you'll have on a hotel
Absolutely.
or a commercial building. On a residential building, I think it's totally inappropriate.
I'd be very crafty making it non-illuminated.
Well,
That still doesn't work, in my opinion.
having a small sign above the entrance so people know where the post is going or where someone's turning up to their house is fine. That is ridiculous.
It is.
So I fully support that, and I would quote as my vice said here, EG3, DP26. That's just terrible design, just ugly, ill thought out, ugly design. No show of hands to support that refusal, please. Thank you. Next one is DM 2831. This is Broad Cottage, 3 Manor Road. This is extension of first floor dormer, erection of new porch, and extension of drive. So this is Imberhall again.
I've just found it. Would you like to start?
Good. So this is the extension of the driveway at the front to allow more parking, and the porch extension you can see here. This is the current property that does have a little porch, but this is going to be fully enclosed now, like this, rather than having a little overhang. It's going to have a bigger porch at the front. This is Imberhall, so Councillor Osborne.
That porch looks all right to me. I think it makes sense. What's the projection of it? How far out does it come? Does it come out further than previously?
I can show you that. Here is the new porch extension. I believe it probably does come out slightly farther, but not. It comes out to there. I think the driveway is being extended slightly this way to compensate for that.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
So you reckon?
Yeah.
You support it?
Yeah.
Could I have a second for that? Any other comments on this at all? Councillor Ray.
Can I query the dormer, Chair, please?
Yeah.
What exactly is being extended?
Yeah, I can say that.
The dormer.
Yeah, I couldn't see it.
I don't know how you can extend it all. So,
That is here.
mm,
At the side of the property, this bit here that extends.
Right.
oh, that's what they call it. Yeah, so-
Yeah. So very similar to we've seen all over the estate.
yes.
It's the word extension of an existing dormer though, that's what I was.
Yeah, I think it's confusing wording if I'm really honest. I think technically it's because it's coming out the side that it is a dormer, but
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
sure it's extending.
Yeah.
There isn't one currently there. If we look at the house, not best picture unfortunately, but it would just square off here.
Okay.
I'll say well, councillor, I think this is very similar to we've seen 100 times before. And actually probably it's smaller than some of the ones that have passed before, so I would support this. So can I show of hands and support, please? Okay, so this is, we'll do two applications, so we will have to do the formality of two proposals and two votes. One is the application, one is the listed building. This is DM 21 3050, Clarendon Cottage, Judges Terrace, High Street, East Grinstead. This is forming a new entrance canopy to the principal elevation in the location of the existing entrance. So for those that don't have their bearings on this one, this is as you go up Judges Close towards Ship Street Surgery. If you came up there part way before the car park, turn around and look back at the High Street, this is where this is tucked in.
Judges Close.
Judges Close Surgery. Yeah, so you know if you go up to the High Street.
Yeah.
So I'll bring these plans up. They are a little complex to see. This is the existing entry level. This is the new canopy that they wish to put on. That sort of sticks out slightly, which it doesn't currently stick out. So the new one does, if that's catching up with me. Yeah. So this is town. So Councillor Scott.
Yeah. As we all know, these buildings in that part of the town are our pride and joy. So whatever you do to them, won't be in change or upgrade, it's got to be in keeping with the materials used. The appearance remains the same. It cannot be something too obtrusive sticking out there. It's got to be in keeping, because these are our pride and joy, these buildings, and this is what our town is based upon. So whatever's going to be used there, if we do pass it, it has to be in keeping with the existing property. If it is, and it's not too obtrusive, then I would pass it. I would accept it, but it's got to be within the boundaries of what their house looks like, and they can't make it too modern.
I think to give you some reassurance on that, Councillor Scott, before you I think to give you some reassurance is because it is a listed building, John, it will have to go through the conservation officer. Anything that was put on and the materials will have to be in keeping. They can't go and put a stainless steel porch on the front or something.
If I do take that route and everything's okay, then to extend the the new entrance canopy, I'll support it.
Thank you. Could I have a second for that, please? Any other comments on that?
No.
Okay, could I have a show of hands in support of the first application? And could I have a show of hands in support of the listed building as well? Thank you. There are more detailed plans here, but they are quite difficult to see. Okay, so we're going to go on to DM 21 2992. This is 78 London Road. This is quite an interesting one. This is conversion of upper floors to provide 2 one-bedroom and 8 two-bedroom flats, including roof extensions and alterations, cycle storage, refuse provision, and associated works. For those that don't know, 78 London Road is Superdrug. So this is Crossroads at the bottom of Superdrug here. This is Queen's Road here, and this is the building in question. Bring this up bigger so we can see. This is existing and proposed change in the elevations.
This is the rear.
Yeah, this is the rear of it. Interesting ones to look at here is this is Superdrug currently. This is what would happen to Superdrug. This is now in cycle storage and what looks like more accommodation at the back. This one is looking from the roadside. So this is the current entrance shop front. Current here, sorry. This is the curved window that I think we've all seen on that side from the original usage. And this is the new proposed look here.
That's new build, is it?
Yeah, so that's how it looks at the minute. And it's going to be extended to. So obviously the ground floor is looking quite the same, but it's
huge, isn't it?
it's changing quite a lot, quite drastically. So this is town. So Councillor Scott.
I've given this a lot of thought this weekend and basically quite openly this is overdevelopment. There's going to be a major parking issue. There is nowhere to park. And Queen's Road at the moment is an absolute, probably the worst road in the town for parking issues. They'll all apply for a parking permit and may well get one. Then that would escalate down that road like this, no tomorrow. If we allow this to happen in our town main area, this will be setting a precedent for anybody else who wants to go up and above. It's too high and it's overdevelopment, and I really can't anyway support this. Not in the location it's in. I struggle if it was away from the town, but in that location, I cannot support this.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a second for that, please?
I'll second
Does anybody else want to add any comments to this? Councillor Roby?
Yeah, just to sort of kind of put the meat on the bones really for what Councillor Scott quite rightly said. I think that DB26 and EG3 needs to be quoted, plus material considerations about the parking, as Councillor Scott quite rightly said, because what's the name of the road that goes down the hill at the back?
Orchard Way.
it. Yeah.
Orchard Way is already used by residents
It
to
is.
park. There's just no space at all. And I agree, overdevelopment is a massive thing, and I think that this would be detrimental to the town. I understand why they might be considering it, but
It's 10 units, isn't it? It's 10.
Yeah.
10 properties, 10 families, potentially 20 cars.
Deputy Town Mayor.
Thank you. I haven't been through detail on this. Have they submitted a parking survey? Because at the end of the day, these bits of make that's quite clear. That any kind of a is fine, isn't it?
They
5 units.
won't.
All new development would have to mitigate.
Yeah, they problem is its location right in the town centre, and they have got cycle storage.
We've had this problem with the further around Queen's Road when they built those 3 units a couple of years ago. And also, do we know Superdrug per se?
There's no comment on it from anyone, but one of my big concerns, if you don't mind it, you touched on, which is we don't have in the town a lot of larger retail space. Most of the town is smaller retail. Superdrug is a well-positioned large retail unit. Now, Superdrug want to leave, or they're struggling. That's neither here nor there. But it is a unit that is potentially valuable to the town, and to be carved up into this very small, tiny, in fact, frontage, with most of it cycle storage and bins behind, I think is a huge loss to the town.
Awesome.
It used to be courts.
Yes,
It was courts and it was a Conservative office at one time too.
So I think, to me,
Court furniture shop.
Yeah.
this has no positives for the town. It only has negatives: loss of retail space, increased parking problems, again, more increased population without any proper infrastructure support. As Councillor Odie said, it's poor design. There's also some subtle features here on the design, that we've got some semi-period features of this curved window from its beautiful past is just being obliterated. It's just gone. Any hint of the original history of that building is being destroyed in this featureless, bland. I mean, what is this? Is this flats or a prism block with these windows? I mean, clearly the designer got a set square for Christmas, because he's got no imagination. It's rubbish design. It's bad. I just really think that we should remove this on every grounds we possibly can think of.
Chairman, I fully appreciate the comments of the committee, and obviously that is absolutely what will go down. I just wonder if you want to look at, if the district council were to support this, would you ask that a condition be placed that none of the residents be allowed to have parking permits, because that can be put in place. I appreciate there's a lot of other things wrong with this application which I'm not happy with, and I can understand that, but I'm just a little minded that if this were to be approved, you do have something that you could ask for, which would at least mitigate the
I
parking.
think that's a really good idea, but I think we should word it quite carefully and say that if this or any other application on this site, should they do come back to reduce it greatly, we've still got that comment in there. But I think it's a very good comment. That they can't apply for planning, they can't apply for parking.
No, that is a good, that is a very good comment, but making that comment, which I think we should, but making that comment seems to sway towards that we're sort of supporting this application.
Well, that's why I said any other development on this site, because if they did just convert the,
I've been thinking that we're only, if we do abolish the parking offers, then perhaps this could start thinking about, that this could be okay, and we are, and I'm certainly not.
I think if they just converted the upstairs into some flats with in a more subtle way without affecting the ground floor or anything like that, there's lots of flats above shops. But this is overdevelopment. That's why I think if we say that, we are building the groundwork for the future.
They also like Colwoods.
And we could be saying the president, like I said, for ourselves, other people do this.
So are we happy with that wording?
Yeah,
And those comments?
absolutely.
Taking a show of hands in support of the future. Thank you. One like applications like that make me really cross.
It's more development brief.
Yeah, that's right, all the time.
Yeah. Next one is DM 21 3098. This is the pavilion, 1A Pavilion Way. This is a 2-story side extension with basement. So this is, for those that know it, Pavilion Way, off West Hill, where the old cricket grounds used to be. This is the first house as you go in on the left. It's actually a new build house. It's newer than the rest of it, extended onto the front of, and they want to build to the side of it.
This has come up before, hasn't it, Mr. Chairman?
I haven't seen this one
10
personally.
years ago, Chairman, if I can,
Yeah.
perhaps not quite that long ago,
Yeah, well,
but some of this committee will certainly remember it. The chairman at the time was Councillor Wyan, and he was vehemently against the extension of this property at that time.
I don't know why that wants me to make me want to support it, but so this is the current building, and this bit here is the proposed new extension. The current house is fairly compact. And this is the proposed new bit, which is almost the same size as the current house.
It spoils the entrance of the area.
Hang on a
doesn't it?
second, Councillor Osborne. Keep your powder dry for a minute. So this is the before and afters. So this is the current property. This is the new proposed extension. Chapel-like, one might say. So yes, this is it. This is Town Ward. So
Funny enough.
yeah, you can tell the people that
I should
sent
have
me.
on my own tonight, I think.
You can tell people that sent me the emails.
You're not going to stay home.
Yes,
My
off you
honest
go, Councillor.
opinion on this, Mr. Chairman, is that is more than an extension. That is another house. And that is doubling the size of the house. That is a house in its own right. And it is far too big as an extension, far too big. I mean, if you looked at the first two windows in line with the house, if it stopped there, then that could be passable, but to take it further on, I just think that's far too big an extension and it's overdevelopment of that property. And there's nothing else in that area that would resemble that house. And so for those two reasons, I could not support this.
Could I have a second for that? I think
Councillor, was there any parking associated with that application?
no extra parking associated with it.
It brings it back to me because I remember it came up last time. The other residents in the road living opposite there in those little cottages, there's barely enough space for them. In fact, I don't think there is enough space for all of them. And they were vehemently against this at the time because it took away another space because the people are obviously going to try and park opposite on the other side of the road. And I also think that it totally spoils the look of that. It's a nice little open bit of road there. Entrance to the estate. You don't have to spoil everything, you know.
I think if you're going to do an extension, it's got to be in keeping with the house you're actually extending.
So-
That looks far too modern.
Yeah, so I think Councillor Scott would like to add EG3 to that. And part of that, reading from the wonderful notes that Councillor Odie has provided for us tonight in front of us, is that the proposed development is proportionate and in keeping with the scale, height, materials and style,
Site coverage
and style of, it's not style it's not on there, but I think style was have, is scale, height and materials. That is out of scale. The height, okay, it's lower, but and the materials don't match. Why has it got a cathedral window? Nowhere else has got a window that looks like that. It doesn't need a window like
Looks like a
that.
chapel.
It does look like a chapel.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it's got plenty of place.
I'm surprised they're not stained last year.
So, Councillor Scott, Councillor Scott, no, not Councillor Scott, Councillor Odie.
Thanks, Jay. I think also it would be prudent to add some material considerations, namely the spoiling the street scene.
Yeah.
And overlooking other properties in that area. And loss of privacy for potentially.
Loss of privacy and overshadowing. That's going to be looking where that angle is. Will look straight out onto West Hill, onto those houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to.
Okay, I think for the first time ever, I'm going to have to agree with Councillor Wine. I'm vehemently against it.
Miracles. It's a miracle.
Okay, can I have a show of hands in support of refusal on those comments? Thank you.
It's pretty ugly, that, isn't it? It's not pretty, it's not ugly, it's just pretty ugly.
It's frankly, it's graceful.
Well, there's a thing.
Okay, next one, listed building for DM 21 3110. This is replacement of the stone plinth calls, repointing the chimneys and internal alterations. Those include moving the kitchen back to the basement and provision of one additional bathroom at the second floor level. Rendered elements of the house to be repainted like for like in colour and paint type. I like this because there's a rare picture without scaffolding. We all know this site. We've all seen many of these applications come in. there are a lot of technical ones and pictures of things that need replacing on it and redoing on the list of building. Councillor Scott, you wanted this brought in? You'd like to?
Yeah, I know this sounds very well actually, because when I was 8 years ago, I was on council, he was hoping to build 2 houses right down the bottom of his land, because and he explained to me why, and the reason was that the upkeep of this building is just too much for him. He had to replace the roof at some time, the tiles, and the tiles were an absolute fortune. But yes, so obviously the chimney needs repointing, like you would expect in a building like this. There are special pointing that you can do to it, so it doesn't look too modern. Obviously, the person who owns the house knows all what he's got to do, and the boundaries he can do these in. He knows this. I mean, some of these have got to happen, but include moving the kitchen back to the basement. Well, that's probably the rear of the house. That's not really affecting the frontage, but he'll do that in the way that he has to do it, using the materials he has to use. And one additional bedroom at the 2nd floor level. The rendered elements of this house will be painted in keeping and the same type of paint. People buy these houses and they're fabulous to live in, but they're hard work to upkeep. And sometimes they do like to make alterations inside. I'd accept the alterations listed here, because I know for a fact that whatever he uses externally, it'll be in keeping, and he'll have to go through the proper chain of command to use them. So he won't overstep those boundaries at all. So I would support this.
Thank you. A second for that, please.
Yeah, that's all right.
Any further comments on this? Further comments? Yeah, Stephen Howard.
Slightly split on this, because I agree with a lot of Councillor Scott said, and I think a lot of listed buildings, the way we live our lives has changed, and a lot of these buildings over the years haven't been updated. It is difficult, it is expensive, they do have to go through a formal process. They need to remain, if there's habitable, livable, the family, etc. It's going to be very expensive to make the changes internally. If you're going to make the changes, get them right first time, subject to due oversight from conservation. So I'm slightly torn, but I think on balance, with the building, subject to the comments of the conservation officer, I would probably support this application.
Councillor Odie and then the town.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I would just, I understand Councillor Deputy Mayor, his comments. I would also just say, can we put things like subject to conservation officer, and is it English heritage?
Going through conservation.
In English heritage as well. I would imagine being listed, it has to go through.
They will.
They are
will-
statutory
they will statutory
consulting,
consulting,
they would
yeah.
have been contacted.
So, yeah, absolutely. So nothing, I think they're obviously going to have the house of interest.
Yeah.
Part. Yeah.
Councillor, we'll go town mayor.
Thank you. Can I look at the front picture again, please? This, I believe that they've already started, been working on this for a considerable time, actually. I believe that there's been quite a bit of.
This is an old picture.
All right, oh, that's fine. No, that's fine. I agree with all the comments that have been made, actually. But I think that we can be reassured that although we sort of agreed, it will be looked at extremely carefully. And I think we can be reassured.
Yeah.
So, I believe that the scaffolding has been up there for quite a while. And as Councillor Scott said, it's a labour of love, and it's an awful lot to do. So I think we can be reassured that it will be carefully looked at. And we're sort of saying, good on you, keep up the good work, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Councillor Osborne.
Well, I think it's a harsh fact of life, really, that if you can't afford to keep a house like that up, you shouldn't be living in it, really.
I felt like saying that to him when he said that. I did, yeah.
And the other thing is too, that
Pleading poverty to me, living in a £1 million house, you're pleading poverty to me, you bought it, you know. I didn't say that.
Okay, committee, can we stick to the application?
but the other thing I was going to say is that the internal alterations are just as important as the external ones, historically speaking. I mean, if you've got the inside of it, you can't trash the kitchen and have it like a modern, kitchen, because that actually, as I say, the inside is just as historical as the outside. Really.
Okay, I think we've said a lot of things here, and I think obviously personal opinions about the wealth of the owner or anything like that are irrelevant in this discussion. Frankly, shouldn't be brought up in this committee.
No, we need a round discussion. I disagree with you totally. We talk about these things in
the wealth of the applicant or his ability to afford to do the works is irrelevant to this discussion and shouldn't be discussed at this committee. It's an inappropriate place.
I shall discuss it in future if I feel so inclined.
He has jumped through all the hoops that we have been asked to apply for planning applications for the relevant maintenance and upkeep of this property. Everything, this is a listed building control, this will go through all the proper conservation and historic actions. And we can see from other restorations of listed buildings in our town, opposite St Swithun's, those houses there have been beautifully restored. I think we can take heed from some of the comments in here, which is moving the kitchen back to the basement. So clearly the kitchen was originally in the basement and has been moved at some other point. So I think this is taking a long time, yes. Is it an old house that's taking a lot of work? Is it worth doing these things with the scaffoldings up? Yes. I think we should be in support of anyone that wants to appropriately maintain and restore our high street. And they should have our support. Councillor Peacock.
Thanks, Jim. One quick question. I'm right in thinking that they're not looking to extend the footprint of the actual building or any.
No changes to that.
No.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
No. And they are doing very simple things, like you see this bottom bit here.
Yeah.
It's the sandstone base that is heavily eroded,
It's maintenance.
which is constantly eroding. They want to replace and reface this, again in the appropriate stone, because they don't, that will keep wearing away, and then the building will fall down. So we have to do this. So I would I'll fully support the applicant in what they're doing. Can I have a show of hands? Thank you. Thank you very much, committee, for some robust discussions on the applications tonight. I shall close the meeting at 7:55, reminding you that the next meeting is on Wednesday, the 6th of October, as full council is on Monday, the 4th. Thank you.